If you drive to Tobinsport, Indiana, between Rome and Rocky Point, you'll find a historic church among a small patch of trees. It's the lone survivor of the ages and many floods, Gilead Church. It's an American Baptist church founded in 1816, the same year Indiana became a state. The church standing today was built in 1876. The casual tourist would move on and miss the nearly hidden and big deal about this town. If you take 166 south, you will dead end at the Ohio River. There, you'll find an interesting piece of local history that's not in most history books. Stand by for a quick history lesson. President Abraham Lincoln. He wasn't always 6'4" and a face full of fuzz. He was in fact just a little boy that came to Indiana when he was only 7 years old. His father had lost 200 acres in Kentucky due to bad land surveys, so the Lincoln family packed up and moved to Indiana in 1816, looking for a new start. Abraham spent the rest of his childhood in southern Indiana, 14 years in all, helping on the farm, reading books, telling jokes, and doing numerous odd jobs to make money. He also loved wrestling, way before WrestleMania was a thing. He helped run a general store for William Jones, and even took a flatboat down the Ohio River to Mississippi to sell goods for wealthy landowner and trader James Gentry. Abraham grew up in Spencer and neighboring Perry counties, only leaving Indiana for Illinois when he was 21. His experiences in Indiana absolutely made him the man that would someday be president. So when you're in Spencer and Perry counties, you are in Abraham Lincoln's stomping grounds, and a very special place. But before all of that, Abraham and his family had to get to Indiana from Kentucky. The trip required crossing the Ohio River, and there were no bridges to cross it at the time. You had to take a boat or ferry. Strangely, many historians disagree about where the Lincoln family crossed, so it's usually missing in history books. However, a family at Tobinsport has the answer in an old family story, and that story says that it was right here at Tobinsport where the Lincolns entered Indiana. They even have a sign in the ground to commemorate the event. And not only that, they know that it was Jacob Weatherholt Sr. that took the Lincolns across the river and into the history books. The opposite side of the sign is a depiction of the event and the ferry that delivered them to a new life in Indiana. Across the river is Cloverport, known as Joeville at the time the Lincolns came to Indiana. Over there is no dispute. The Lincolns absolutely crossed on a ferry there, and it's part of their local history. There's also proof that a licensed ferry operated between there and Tobinsport, which was then known as Tobins Bottom. For skeptics, there is no ferry receipt, and certainly no pictures, as photography wasn't invented until 1826. We only have stories, but just like the Lincolns had to step out in faith, sometimes you just have to believe and go on. And from here to Mount Vernon, Indiana, Abraham Lincoln's legacy does just that. It goes on, like the great Ohio River itself.